Hi, I'm Julian, and today I'll be reviewing the film Men, directed by Alex Garland and starring Jessie Buckley and Rory Kinnear. Jessie Buckley, who plays our protagonist Harper, travels to a house in the countryside in order to get her mind off of tragic events that have happened in her past. The owner Jeffrey, who is played by Rory Kinnear, shows her around, and as our protagonist further explores the scenery, she ends up uncovering a creature that torments her about her past, the creature looking like a human. Alex Garland has proven himself to be a creative director with a large library of acclaimed films like Annihilation and Ex Machina. But this is the one time where he utilizes great acting and impressive camera work in order to tell a story about trauma and guilt. This film is already notorious for how polarizing it turned out to be, with the marketing making it seem like it would have more to say, with social commentary on toxic masculinity. And while I'll say that is one interpretation you could get from this movie, it's not the main point of it. I personally was very interested in the conversation the film caused with the bizarre ending it had, which I'll talk about later. But I'm shocked there isn't like a heavier focus on like the actual filmmaking itself. The shots throughout this film are remarkable and beautiful, with them utilizing the England scenery to its fullest potential. The way they mess with the soundtrack itself by having our character input her voice during the movie was extremely creative. The film keeps its consistency with beautiful landscape shots and colorful scenes, even when the film has a more somber tone to it. This film has like this suspenseful feel a lot, with, this random naked man just following our main character, which I'll go deeper on like the importance of him and his existence later. The trailer footage shows that every male character is played by Rory Kinnear, who does a great job playing all these characters, including the child who looks like him, which gives this uncanny feel to it, which like adds this creepy atmosphere. There's a point to why this is happening, but like I can't really talk about it without spoiling it, so we'll get to that later. The reviews may be polarizing, but the first half of the film does a great job setting up our characters and giving us enough lore to be engaged with what is happening. Now it's really hard, like I said before, to talk about this film without spoiling it. So for anyone who doesn't want to get spoiled, you should probably skip to this part. Except for my professor, you're gonna have to watch the whole thing. The reason why every guy is played by Rory Kinnear is because he is like this mythical creature who we see represented by this statue we see throughout the film. We then see at the end that they multiply by asexually reproducing, which, gives us like the most bizarre imagery that you'll ever see in the movie. It really works for what it's trying to say, though, with the whole toxic masculinity being a cycle, as our main character says at some point. Especially with how it transforms back into her ex, who died after trying to climb down to her balcony and falling to his death. It seems that this creature represents her guilt, as the ex-boyfriend gaslighted her into thinking that he died because of her actions regarding trying to get a divorce with him. We see this creature confront her multiple of times about her ex and how it was her fault that he died. The creature even has similar injuries to when her ex died, and it makes even more sense regarding our main character's reaction to watching it just all unfold, which I can see people make fun of that. But it makes sense when you really think about how she's like trying to process everything. Like I said before, this film is very controversial for that specific birthing scene, but when you realize that's her dealing with the grief of her husband dying and processing the guilt that comes with that, then it works. It's really shocking and it's very impactful, but it works. You can even see her completely accepting this at the end when she asks the spirit version of her husband that still blames her, "What do you want from me?" Then the spirit answers, "I want to love you," which I interpret as her thinking that's what he wanted from the beginning, especially with how the creature earlier asking her like if she thinks that she could have saved him by forgiving his abusive actions. Overall, this film works for me in a lot of ways, although I can see why a lot of people just couldn't connect with this film. That ending is really insane and hard to watch. And there are also times where the decision making just doesn't make any sense. And without knowing what the movie is trying to say, then, the ending will just seem so out of place. Either way, I'm definitely going to rewatch this movie because I feel like I could get a lot more meaning out of a couple more watches. especially because I feel like it's one of those movies that you can get many different interpretations from. Which is my interpretation. I'm pretty sure everyone else has come up with like different things and themes about it.